We have reached the knockout rounds of a tournament that many were skeptical at first, including myself. But it turns out that the Club World Cup has been a major success. Exciting games, tremendous storylines, an average of almost 3 goals per game. The Club World Cup is here to stay. That's a fact. But right now, we must talk about the round of 16 playoffs, where I shall give you my predictions. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, also known as the Soccer Nostradamus. And today, I'm going to give you every single team that's going to advance from the round of 16 to the quarterfinals of the 2025 Club World Cup. The knockout rounds are here, and these are one-off matches, so anything can happen. If anyone tries to bring up some BS complex analysis, don't listen to them. Once the ball starts to roll, everything goes down the drain. Anything can happen. Essentially, any prediction right now, it's just guessing. I just happen to be very good at guessing. Some might say I'm even the best at guessing. Ask anyone. I'm probably the best one. So these are the games to be played. On one side of the bracket, we have Palmeiras versus Botafogo. Then Benfica versus Chelsea. Inter Milan versus Fluminense. And then you have Manchester City versus Hilal. On the other side of the bracket, the right side, we have PSG versus Inter Miami. Flamengo versus Bayern. Borussia Dortmund versus Monterrey. And then Real Madrid versus Juventus. Now you can let me know your predictions in the comment section down below who will advance, and make sure to hit the like button in this video, because if you don't hit the like button, your team will get eliminated. And you may not believe me, but do you really want to risk it? So make sure to drop a like in this video, subscribe to the channel to get the best coverage of Brazilian football in English. With that said, let's begin the predictions. Alright, and we're going to start with the left side of the bracket. The first game being from my beloved Palmeiras versus Botafogo. So far in the Club World Cup, Botafogo has only defended. Yes, against PSG, Atletico Madrid. They've been very dangerous on the counterattack. But what's funny about Botafogo is they also defended a lot when they played an inferior opponent, like the Seattle Sounders. While Palmeiras has Abel Ferreira in charge. To me, he's a tremendous coach, a fantastic coach. But Abel Ferreira is also a soccer or football, sorry for using the S word, I know some of you hate it. Abel Ferreira is a football terrorist, which at times he can do terrorist things when it comes to playing enjoyable soccer. Sometimes he also doesn't play his best players. As long as Abel Ferreira sticks to the plan and probably starts Mauricio over Rafael Veiga, and Palmeiras plays their game, to me, Palmeiras are the favorites. And I know that Botafogo eliminated Palmeiras in the Libertadores last year in 2024. But this Botafogo side this year is not as strong as the one we've seen last year. They struggled in the Carioca, which is the state championship. They have been struggling in the Brazilian League. And in the Club World Cup, they've been effective, they've been efficient, but I haven't seen anything from Botafogo to convince me that they will be able to knock out Palmeiras. Essentially, Botafogo is very unpredictable, and their fan base, as I said in the past, that I very much love. My grandfather was a Botafogo fan. I love Botafogo. But I'm obviously a Palmeiras fan. With that said, I think Palmeiras will advance. This game is 50-50. It can honestly go either way. I don't think Palmeiras are the favorites by any means. But my heart and my gut feeling tell me that Palmeiras will knock out Botafogo in the round of 16 in a very, very tough game. Game 2 will be Benfica versus Chelsea, and the winner of this game will likely play Palmeiras if Palmeiras knocks out Botafogo. Benfica got here with a 2-2 draw with Boca Juniors, then a 6-0 win over Auckland, a team that is just with amateur players. They literally have accountants and plumbers in that team. And then they got a 1-0 win over Bayern, which beating Bayern is never easy. However, Benfica got very lucky in that game. Bayern was super wasteful. They didn't really start soccer players. They started stormtroopers that couldn't freaking hit the target. Like, Bayern wasted a lot of chances. They had over a 2 XG. My point, Bayern should have beat Benfica. They played better than Benfica, along with the fact that for some reason, the Germans are really struggling with the heat of the United States of America. Dortmund has, and Bayern did as well against Benfica. So they got the win, but it was pretty evident that Bayern is still better. And players that are playing for Benfica like Otamendi, Di Maria, incredible players, but way past their prime. Now Chelsea, they start off slow with a 2-0 win over LAFC, and by slow I mean they didn't really play well. Then they lost to Flamengo 3-1. But then they finally got a 3-0 win over Esperance, which, by the way, Flamengo completely outplayed Chelsea in that game. And they rotated players, so they are well rested for this game. And this Chelsea team is not as good as they were 4 to 5 years ago when they won the Champions League, but they're also better than the past 2 years that we've seen from Chelsea. I also think Chelsea has better starters than Benfica for the most part, and they also have a better bench, and they're more well rested. So as long as Chelsea plays their game, they will 100% go through. They will knock out Benfica, and when Chelsea and Palmeiras clash in the quarterfinals, that will be a rematch of the 2022 Club World Cup final, where Chelsea defeated Palmeiras 2-1 in extra time. So my prediction here is that Chelsea will knock out Benfica. Game number 3, we have Fluminense versus Inter Milan. And listen, if you made it this far in the video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and comment your predictions if you want to. Fluminense got here with a 0-0 draw with Borussia Dortmund, a 4-2 win against Ulsan, where they kind of almost lost that game. They were down 2-1 at halftime, but they pulled a major comeback, and then a 0-0 draw with Mamelodi from South Africa. So 2 0-0 draws, which is a little bit weird because Fluminense plays very well. They play attacking soccer, so you would expect them to score a lot of goals. And John Arias is an incredible player, and Fluminense has plenty of experience. Now, Inter Milan, the Champions League finalist, they seem to be slowly growing into this tournament. They started with a 1-1 draw with Monterrey from Mexico. Then they got a good comeback win against the Urawa Red Diamonds from Japan. That was a very tough game. And then they closed the group stage with a very strong 2-0 win over River Plate, sending the Argentine team back to Argentina. Now listen, Inter Milan is one of the best teams in the world right now. They made it to the Champions League final for a reason, and they're growing into this tournament. And Fluminense, despite playing some very enjoyable football to watch, they are, to me, the weakest Brazilian side. So I'm sorry, I have Inter Milan advancing and Fluminense being knocked out. And I also like Fluminense. My mother's a Fluminense fan, but I have to be real with the facts. And the facts are that if I had a guess who's going to go through, I think Inter Milan are the clear favorites. I don't see Fluminense advancing. I think Inter will advance during regular time. So Inter goes to the quarterfinals. But I'll love watching this game because I just really enjoy watching John Arias. That's an incredible player. I don't know how he still plays for Fluminense. He could easily be playing in top 5 leagues in Europe and even for top clubs. He's an incredible winger. Watch out for the Colombian player. Game number 4. Manchester City versus Al Hilal from Saudi Arabia. So Man City got here by getting a 2-0 win over Casablanca, then a 6-0 win over Al Ain, and a 5-2 win over Juventus, which I was at that game in Orlando, and it was 5-2 against Man City versus Juve, but it should have been like 7-0. Manchester City completely dominated Juventus, and I know Juve was rotating and resting a few players, but so was Man City. Now, Al Hilal tied Real Madrid 1-1 in the group stage, tied RB Salzburg 0-0, and then defeated Pachuca from Mexico 2-0. Now, good results, and Al Hilal is actually a very good team. But it's the end of the road for them. Manchester City are looking like legit title contenders. Rodri is back. Erling Haaland is scoring. They destroyed Juventus. They are a top team. To me, they're a top 2, top 3 team to win this tournament, and they will advance. So as expected, Manchester City will knock out a very good team called Al Hilal. Again, this is a very good team, but it should be like a 2-0 win, maybe 3-1 for Manchester City. As long as Ederson doesn't make any mistakes, because he keeps making mistakes, he did that against Juventus, Man City should advance with a clean sheet here. Okay, time to go to the other side of the bracket. And the first game for that will be Flamengo versus Bayern Munich. So Flamengo gets here as, in my opinion, the best performing Brazilian club so far in the Club World Cup. They looked actually really good and completely outplayed Chelsea in that 3-1 victory, and they qualified with 7 points. They didn't get 9 points because they didn't really seem to care about that game with LAFC because they pretty much had the first place locked in. So again, 7 points, but they should have gotten 9. Now Bayern Munich, they outplayed Benfica, but they lost. And then they won the other 2 games in their group and they advanced. Even though they did struggle against Boca Juniors when they played in Miami at the Hard Rock Stadium, which is where they're going to face Flamengo. So Bayern has been struggling and complaining about the weather conditions, about how hot and humid it is in the United States of America. On the East Coast, I think they played in Charlotte. Florida's pretty bad. They've been complaining about that, the Germans. The same thing with Borussia Dortmund. And they're going to play Flamengo in Miami, which is pretty damn hot. I live in Florida, trust me. Extremely humid at 4 p.m. So if they're struggling with the heat so far, this is going to be rough. Because when they played Boca, I'm pretty sure it's at 9 p.m. in Miami. 4 p.m. in Miami, it's brutal. And listen, Flamengo's a streaky team. They're hot and cold, just like Katy Perry. If Flamengo scores first, I can assure you they will knock out Bayern. And Flamengo's very well coached by Felipe Luis, an up-and-coming coach in Brazil that's been doing a tremendous job with them. I don't think, and you should not expect Flamengo to sit back and defend. They will go at Bayern. That's how they do it. They will not sit back and defend for their lives. Now, if Flamengo can exploit Bayern on the counterattack, I think they have good odds. Bayern is definitely the best team here, and they're definitely the slight favorites. I expect Flamengo to be aggressive, to hold possession, and attack Bayern. They're not going to sit back. And I know this may surprise many, but because of the weather conditions and how good Flamengo has been so far, I have Flamengo pulling an upset. It's not a big upset because I don't think the gap between these two teams is as big as many think. I think Flamengo will knock out Bayern. Flamengo will advance to the quarterfinals. And you guys are going to call me crazy, but I actually think that will happen. And listen, I don't like Flamengo, not one bit, but I think they'll advance. Next up, Game 6, we have Inter Miami versus PSG. Messi facing his former club, the club that he kind of hates. Messi truly hates PSG, and that's not a good thing for PSG. Inter Miami actually surprised many in the group stage with a 0-0 draw against Al Ahly, the best team in Africa, a 2-1 win over Porto, and a 2-2 draw against Palmeiras, one of the best teams in South America. But listen, they had a 2-0 lead. They blew this lead. They should have defeated Palmeiras that played very poorly. Now, PSG, they destroyed Atletico Madrid. They lost to Botafogo, which shocked the world. And then they destroyed the Seattle Sounders. And PSG are obviously the current Champions League champions. And I think Botafogo will be the only upset against PSG in this tournament. If PSG is going to get knocked out, it'll be by a team that is equally as good as them or better, which there are not really many teams better than them right now. And listen, PSG is not Porto. PSG is not Palmeiras. I think Inter Miami will do a good job defending as they did against Porto and they did against Palmeiras, besides the last 10 minutes against Palmeiras, but we're not going to talk about that. PSG is going to advance. I don't think it's going to be easy. Probably a 2-0 win, 3-1. Maybe Messi scores a goal. But unless you think Messi can score 3 or 4 goals this game on his own, because it's not going to be Luis Suarez with arthritis that's going to score against PSG, I don't see how Inter Miami advances. So with that said, I think PSG will advance and it won't be too hard. But I could be wrong. I doubt it. I don't think I'll be wrong on this one. Game 7. And if you made it this far in the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. If you're not subscribed and you didn't like the video, you're a loser. Do not be a loser. Game 7 is Borussia Dortmund from Germany versus Monterrey from Mexico. And Borussia Dortmund makes it here after getting a 0-0 draw with Fluminense in the group stage, a 4-3 win versus Mamelodi from South Africa, and a 1-0 win over Ulsan from Korea. And they have not impressed me in this tournament. And they also sucked in the Bundesliga. I followed them along in Germany quite a bit because Gio Reyna plays there, even though Gio Reyna never really gets minutes. And Dortmund has not been good. Also, signing the copy and paste version of Jude Bellingham does not give you Jude Bellingham. Even though his brother's kind of good, just because you killed Jesse James, it does not mean you are Jesse James. Even though no one died to get Jude Bellingham's brother with Borussia Dortmund. But you got the point that I'm making. Now, Monterrey got here with a 1-1 draw with Inter Milan, a 0-0 draw with River Plate, and then a 4-0 win against the Urawa Red Diamonds from Japan. They're led by Sergio Ramos on defense and Tecatito on offense, the former Mexican national team player. That's a very good player, by the way. With that said, Monterrey will knock out this awful Borussia Dortmund side. And again, Borussia Dortmund is another team that's been struggling with the heat, but they've also been struggling with the ball. They've just been kind of crap. They haven't really been good. And I actually think Monterrey, which is a very good team from Liga MX in Mexico, will send the Germans back to Germany. Man, I'm going to piss off a lot of Germans in this video. I sent the 2 German clubs back home. I think that will happen. So, got to call a spade a spade. I think it'll happen. I have to say it. Last but not least, we have game number 8, which is Real Madrid versus Juventus. Now, Listen, this is not the same Juventus that we saw in the mid-2000s, or even at some point in the 2010s when they had Paul Pogba, Marquisio. This Juventus side is actually not very good. Yildiz is probably their best player, or at least their best performer. But the rest of the team, Wesley McKennie, Locatelli, I don't know, man, even Vlahovic, they're okay players, but they're not players that make you be a Champions League contender, right? This is not the same Juventus we've seen in the past, 10 to 20 years. They're not. And I watched them play against Man City. They were terrible. They were destroyed by Man City. They actually looked like a relegation side in the Premier League facing Man City. I know they rested some of their starters, but still, that was an abysmal performance. Now, Real Madrid is still a very good team. One of the contenders to win this tournament. Vinicius Jr. is there, Jude Bellingham. I believe Kylian Mbappe will be back this game. Rodrigo's coming off the bench. And now they're led by Xabi Alonso, no longer Carlo Ancelotti. That's with the Brazilian national team. Real Madrid was good in the group stage. They even defeated Pachuca when they were playing man down most of the game. I don't see how Juventus knocks out Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid will advance, and will advance with some comfort. With that said, as I already said, Real Madrid will make it to the quarterfinals, and they are probably a top 3 team to win this tournament. Okay, now just to recap, with my predictions, these are the quarterfinals that will happen. Palmeiras versus Chelsea on one side of the bracket, and Inter Milan versus Manchester City. And then the winner of those games will play each other. On the other side of the bracket, we're going to have PSG versus Flamengo, and then Monterrey versus Real Madrid. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go and subscribe to the channel. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers. Don't forget also to let us know your predictions in the comment section down below. And if you want us to do a quarterfinals prediction video, we'll do so. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day.